So you want to make music but don't know where to start? I can help you with that. Hi, I'm Zenia. I'm a singer-songwriter, songwriter producer based in Dubai, UAE, and today I'll tell you everything you need to have in order to start making music. I will tell you everything from non-negotiables to things that you can invest in later on, and of course my personal recommendations. First things first, you would need a DAW or a digital audio workstation. I personally use Logic Pro, but there are multiple options out in the market like FL Studio, Ableton, Cubase, the list goes on and on.
But Zenia, I don't want to invest in a diet.
Well, there are free alternatives available in the market as well, like BandLab or GarageBand if you're a Mac user. That's where I started too, by the way. But I would highly suggest that you invest in a DAW, especially if you're a producer, because you will just unlock so many more features. Secondly, a microphone. If you want to sing or record your own samples like Charlie Puth. Now, this can get tricky because there are so many microphones out there. Which one to pick, right? Well, it highly depends on your budget. But I would say a good beginner friendly budget would be 100 US dollars. And for that, you can get an Audio Technica 80-20-20, which is available in both USB and XLR versions. What is the difference, you ask? Well, a USB microphone can connect directly to your laptop because it has a USB pin, while an XLR microphone will connect to an audio interface and then connect to your laptop, which I will get into later. But my suggestion would be if you can invest into an XLR microphone, that would be better because of its low latency and high audio quality. I personally have a Rode NT1, which I got as a bundle for approximately 300 US dollars. It contained my microphone, obviously, a pop filter, a shock mount, an XLR cable, and some other screws for connecting it to the stand. Now we have other options as well, like Shure SM7B, which you will see like a lot of musicians or creators using, which will cost you around 400 US dollars. But I know what you're thinking. Can I make you work in an even tighter budget? Short answer, yes. Which brings me to my personal favorite piece of equipment that I own, my handheld microphone. I personally have an ATR 1500X Audio Technica handheld dynamic microphone, which is just a $60 microphone. I love it so much, and I'll tell you why later in the video because it's interconnected to that one particular equipment. You can go lower than this, to be honest, but I won't suggest that because then you will be just compromising with the quality of your audio. Okay, next up is our audio interface. I have a Focusrite Scarlett Solo 3rd Gen, which costed me about 100 US dollars. Now I know what you're thinking. What is this thing? Why is it so expensive? To tell you the truth, the major work of this thing is to connect your laptop, speakers, and microphone all together. Think of it as a brain sending signals to, connecting everything and sending signals to every other thing. I don't know if that's the right analogy to use, but yeah, that's pretty much what it does. You can also control the volume of your headphones, speakers, microphones, everything, instruments as well through your audio interface. Now, you don't want to get stingy here because trust me, I have made that mistake before. I got the cheapest Behringer audio interface that I could find on the market. I think it was Euphoria something. And it had so much white noise of itself that I could barely hear myself. Now, I don't know if I got a defected piece or if they have improved on the audio quality yet. But as a starting point, I highly suggest investing into a Focusrite Scarlett because it has everything you need in an audio interface. It has a sleek look, works very well, low latency, next to no white noise. So you're good to go. Honorable mention for a Focusrite bundle, especially if you're an instrumentalist. I've never used it myself, but I've heard recordings done on it and it's pretty good. You can get it as cheap as 250 US dollars and it will contain a Focusrite mic, headphones, XLR cable, and of course an audio interface. Basically everything you need to get started. Next up, we have headphones. I personally have Audio Technica's ATH M30X, which costed me about 100 US dollars, which is on the pricier side, I'm not gonna lie. But I think you can find it as cheap as 90 USD somewhere. I don't know. I think like at some places you can get it for 90 USD as well. They work perfectly fine. I mostly use them when I'm recording vocals through this microphone because if I keep the speakers on, then it will reflect the sound. Audio Technica also has M20X, which cost about 70 USD, can range between 60-70. I would highly suggest to invest into headphones, especially if you're a producer, because if you can't hear the right sound, then what's the point of all of this? Coming next, we have our pseudo monitors. I personally have Genelec 8010 AP, which costed about a whopping 550 US dollars. That is 1100 US dollars out of my sister's bank account, by the way. It was a birthday gift to me. Well, everything I have in my setup was a gift to me, actually, because my sister has invested so much into me. Shout out to my sister. I love you so much. It was so much worth it for me, and I'll tell you just in a minute. Because remember the thing that I was mentioning with my handheld mic? It connects to this. And my personal bias aside, you don't need them. Yes, even if you're a producer. Now hold on. Don't come in my throat. Let me finish. If you're a producer and you're on a very tight budget, it's not necessarily a necessity. You can make a song without it, you can produce without it. It won't be the same. I know, I agree. Especially if you're mixing, especially if you're mastering, even at producing at times. But right now, if you're at the beginning stage of all of it, you need to invest into a course instead of your studio monitors. If you don't know what you're doing, there is no point of it. In studio monitors, there are other options available for a cheaper price range like Kali LP6V2 or Adams T5V, which both cost $250 per piece, and that is $500 for a pair. This brings me to my favorite part, that why I love my handheld mic so much. So combining my handheld mic with my studio monitors creates the perfect environment for me to songwrite, especially because it has no latency. I can hear my voice in real time, and making demos became so much more easier. Again, it's not a necessity, but it does help. Like, why else would you invest into it, right? That reminds me, I'm thinking of starting a songwriting course. Let me know if that would be something you would be interested in. Last but not the least, a MIDI keyboard. I have a Kai MPK Mini, which costed again about 100 US dollars. Now, it's a good thing to have, especially if you're a producer. But again, it's not a necessity, and I'll tell you why. So basically, in your digital audio workstation or DAW, there's a piano scroller in which you can quite literally draw melodies. And I don't know if it is there in other DAWs, it should be, but in Logic and GarageBand, you can quite literally turn your laptop keyboard into a MIDI keyboard. So that's pretty cool. Other tiny things or accessories will include an XLR cable, which will connect your microphone to your audio interface, which will eventually connect to your laptop. A pop filter, so that your pause and don't pop out. A shock mount, so that your microphone can keep stable, and other things, tiny little things like that. Now, given you have a laptop, what is the cheapest you can create a home studio in? To answer that question, that would be $300, but if you go with the following, sure, you can make a setup under 300 US dollars depending on the deals you get. But my suggestion is, since you're investing so much into it, might as well make it 500 US dollars so you can make an actual decent home setup. And this is what a 500 USD setup would look like. On a final thought, the best gear you can have is your skill. Songwriting, recording technique, production technique, and consistency matter more than buying everything all at once. I will be starting a songwriting course soon, so if that's something you'll be interested in, please stick around. And if you have any more questions related to anything that I mentioned in the video, please feel free to drop it in the comments.